Welcome, folks, to another fine and fun edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Here we are at Payware Norfolk Airport in Norfolk, um, Virginia. I almost said North Carolina. people in people in Virginia would take offense to that because Norfolk is such a beautiful area. It's near the Jamestown Colony settlement. There's a monster um, naval base here, big aircraft carriers. So let's take a little, before we get too far into the aircraft, let's go to showcase mode and let's just enjoy the eye candy of this Payware. This is Payware Airport, and you can tell right away that it's so rich in its detail. Look at those gate numbers. Not much to the aircraft itself, airport itself, as far as a commercial hub. Most people in this area, I'm sure they fly out of Richmond, Virginia, which is, I'm imagining it's about 40 minutes to the east. Let's, well, I can't really, I'm going to go back to our control settings for the camera, and I'm going to kick up the drone speed a little bit, actually quite a lot. And this will allow us to zoom around the Norfolk area a little faster. I mentioned in real life there's a big naval base here. I'm not sure that's going to be modeled by Microsoft. You can see some indication of shipping. But this is Warship Central for the American East Coast. But getting away from that, here's the airport. It lies docile and serene. We are American Airlines today, flying a flight from Norfolk to Charlotte. I imagine this was a U.S. Airways flight before the merge between U.S. Airways and American Airlines, and now it's a real live American Airlines flight. It might not be flown with an A320. Because of the distance, I'm imagining in real life it's probably flown by a regional carrier. But we're going to do it in an A320. Our chariot of choice, you might say. Let's go back to the aircraft. We will get the jet bridge attached. Get some baggage handling. Looks like the Payware baggage cart is interfering a little bit with the Microsoft Flight Simulator baggage cart. But hopefully they'll get their act together. And maybe finally we'll get a little external power on our aircraft. Let's hop aboard. We have external power, so let's use it. Battery 1, battery 2, external power. Nav and logo lights on, wing light on, leave the beacon off for right now, strobes to auto. Arm the emergency exits. No smoking sign on. Seatbelt sign on. We don't have bleed air yet because we don't have an APU, but we will crank up these temperature gauges. When that comes on, we'll be able to get our cabin up to temperature. Right now we'll say we have a low pressure air bleed on provided by the terminal, and that will provide us a comfortable atmosphere until we get the APU turned on. Of course, like most airlines, you don't want to burn onboard fuel unnecessarily, especially in these days of energy conservation. Let's get the ADIRs lined up. Go to nav 1 on the number 1 ADIRs, nav on number 2, and finally number 3. That's our inertial reference system. We'll do a fire test on our APU. We'll do a test in the cargo smoke test. And we'll do an annunciator light test. We will turn on every light bulb in the house. We're looking for blown bulbs, filaments that don't work, along with checking our minimum equipment list, which is a list of items that can be broken or missing and still operate the aircraft. If we had a broken bulb or a missing element, we would want to check that list and see if it's something that we can fly with. We'll check the documentation of the aircraft. We'll make sure that the required flight manuals are available. It's all part of a procedure known as a rainbow check. A rainbow check is moving your eyes from the lower, either right or left. You can start at either side, and move your eyes in a rainbow fashion along the upper edges of the flight deck, checking for all these items. You want to make sure you have a first aid kit. You want to make sure the crash axe is available, all the aircraft documentation. What's that old saying? The job's not done until the paperwork's done. Okay, light test works out okay. And for right now, we are finished here on top. Let's go down to our flight computer. We'll go to the ATSU menu and then to the company menu, and we will initialize our flight. Let's ask for our data from dispatch office. We ran a sim brief earlier. We are starting from Norfolk Regional Airport. Our destination is Charlotte. We're flight number 43. Next page. Next page is to be filled out once the flight is over, so we don't need that. Let's go back to our company menu. We will do a weather request. Get a METAR, which is current weather, for KORF, and also for KCLT. We'll send that. We'll also ask for a terminal aerodrome forecast, forecasted weather for those two airports. And maybe we'll go to the ATIS page and we will ask for an automated terminal information system update. That's ATIS. Oops. And go back to the ATIS screen. And the airport is KCLT, that's our destination. We'll want it on the McDo, and off it goes. We also get that by the radio, but if you have your arrival information on the McDo ahead of time, you can get the information often before you're in radio range of Charlotte. So that's nice to have. Back to the company menu, we'll do our weight balance. We only need 6021 of block fuel. Let's push the fuel button here, look at the EFIS panel. We're at 9460, so let's unload some of that. Now, by pushing that button, now we're at 5940. That's good enough for our purposes. We'll go to the second page. This is page 1 of 2. You can see there are 2 pages available. 174 passengers. We're a pretty full boat. There's our center of gravity. There's our zero fuel weight. This is how our cargo and our baggage has been distributed. We push the load button, and that load is now on the aircraft. Back to the McDo menu. Now we're going to the flight management computer. This is the meat and potatoes, the bread and butter of our computer. We'll look at the air rack data. This is out of date, but we'll use it for our purposes. The secondary data is also out of date, and we'll verify our engines as LEAP 1A 26. I believe that 26 refers to 26,000 pounds of thrust. So let's go to our data, aircraft status. Yes, that's where we were. Initialization page. We'll request information from our flight plan. There we go. Norfolk to Charlotte. Not sure where TRI is. Not going to. Cost index of 9. That is insane. We need to get there. Let's get there with a cost index of 85. That's a number from 1 to 99. And the higher the number, the less efficient the plane is. Flight level 320 for our flight is pretty cold up there at negative 48 degrees. I'm actually going to take just a second out, and I'm going to go to our air traffic control program, which is called Pilot2ATC. I'm going to import a new flight plan. This is my last flight plan when I was on the coast of Africa. But we don't want this one, we want the new one. So I'm going to go to my sim brief, copy my, oh, I don't, let's see, we gotta get our previous routing here. Where's my previous routing? That's what I wanted. Okay, Norfolk to Charlotte. Here we are. Isn't much of a routing at all. It's one waypoint, Coupon to the Chesley 4 arrival. Well, with only one waypoint, it's going to make our work with Pilot2ATC very easy, because all it's going to want for flight planning is the takeoff airport, Kilo Oscar Romeo Foxtrot, the one waypoint, which was Coupon, C-O-U-P-N. If I remember, let's just make sure that's correct. C-O-U-P-N, that is correct. And one thing about these routings, they're very unforgiving. You must get it correct. Kilo CLT, Charlie Lima Tango for our arrival in Charlotte. We'll push the import button. This will generate a rough plan. Oh, did we lose it somehow? There we are. Norfolk to Charlotte. Not a terribly long distance. Let's I don't know how I expanded that accidentally. Yeah, I didn't mean to expand the map like that. Let's go to my last flight was on a government plane for the German Air Force. It was Luftwaffe flight number 43. Now we're on American Airlines flight number 43. I still want a way of getting rid of this map. I don't want to get rid of the map entirely, but I sure don't want it to take up the whole space. There we go. There we go. Okay. We will validate that flight plan, and then when we file, the program is going to add a star, standard arrival route. And I'm sure an airport the size of Charlotte does have a standard arrival route. We'll just make sure it matches the one that was given to us by SimBrief. SimBrief's arrival was the Chesley 4. And our arrival is the Chesley 4. Great, so it looks like we're going to be flying generally to the west. We'll head southwest, then due south. We'll make a little hook maneuver, and we'll land due north. So that's what our flight plan looks like. We are connected to the sim. You can tell by the green light there. Here we're limiting our altitude at flight level 270. I believe our SimBrief level is 320. So we'll enter that. And then what we've done is we've established some basic parameters so that air traffic control can handle our top of descent and top of climb. We've given the computer an average climb rate of 1,500 feet per minute. That's actually a little low. And a descent rate of 1,500 feet per minute, which is also a little on the low side. And we've told it a ground speed of 300, which again is a little on the low side. But I would rather underestimate these and have the computer expect our performance to be a little less than the converse of that, and have the computer expect our performance to be a little bit more. So with that set in, I'm going to push the air traffic control program off to the side. Let's go to the next page of our initialization. Oh, here comes one of our flight attendants.
Let's start setting up.
Okay.
Yeah, she's going to take care of things in the back. We'll get our zero fuel weight and our zero center of gravity. There it goes. We'll put in our fuel into the block fuel, 5940 kilograms. Oh, I know why. I've done that before, where I keep forgetting to just round this down. 5.9. Okay. And now we have all of our parameters, all of our phases of flight with their required fuel, and even a little extra fuel. So that's nice. Trip wind. We actually do have trip wind from our SimBrief. Let's get that SimBrief back up here, and I'll go into the operational flight plan portion of it. Did we There again is our detailed routing. This is you can choose which airline you would like this output to best represent. And I live in Minnesota. We tend to be a slave of Delta Airlines. So this is even though we're flying American Airlines today, this is in the Delta Airlines format. This is exactly, or almost exactly, what it would look like if you were a Delta Airlines pilot. Here is our top of climb winds. Here's our routing. Norfolk to Coupon to the Chesley 4 to Charlotte. Top of climb winds are 240 and 89. So we'll plug that in. onto our performance page. Transition altitude in North America is always 18,000 feet. We have a flex temp. In other words, this is the temperature. Now 56 degrees is an almost impossible temperature in the real world. In centigrade, that's a very warm day. But we're going to pretend, we're going to trick the engines into believing that it is 56 degrees. And that will degrade the engine performance a little bit. This helps preserve engine life, and it will also help with noise abatement, keeping noise to a minimum. We have rather short runways here at Norfolk, so I'm going to go to a flap setting of 2, and our takeoff stabilizer setting will be 0.2 down. We'll let the computer figure out our V-speeds. 132 on the V2, 128 on the VR, and 127 on the V1. Do want to go into the settings page of my virtual first officer, and I want to let her know that we're using configuration 2 on the flaps, 127, 128, and 132. I want her V-speeds to be correct. So we'll tell her 127, 128, and 132. Great. That is all set up. Let's go to our flight plan. There are no sensor stars from Norfolk Airport. All we really need to worry about here is the departure runway, which will be, if I am correct, and the wind is in the correct direction, runway 23, runway 23. And of course, we'll verify that when we get our clearance. We actually do have there is an available star from this airport, the Kisser 3, but that's not the one we're using. We're flying straight to Coupon. Yeah, Norfolk to Coupon. So no star in our future. There are no stars for us to gaze at. Okay, that's it. Because it's such a short flight, I'm going to go ahead and put in the destination as well. You folks who were with me on my last flight in Africa, we had quite a long cruise. We actually even used acceleration to speed it up a little bit. But this is a very short flight, so I'm going to do our arrival right now. We are on the Chesley 4 arrival to runway 36 center. So let's find 36 center. And there's 36 left, 36 right. I'll say 36 is 36 center. And we'll find the Chesley 4 arrival. And we have no vias because Coupon is our only waypoint. There's transition is Coupon, but that would be fine. We will insert that. Coupon, and then all these waypoints, Argyle, Peltz, Fedox, Shantz, Sedile, Wilsh, Chesley, Chris, Slopa, Jamco, Wizzy, those are all part, Kate, Ipe, Marjo, Nivsy, Glassy, those are all part of the procedure to get us down to the ILS. And of course, because we're working with virtual air traffic controllers, once we're on this procedure, it's likely we'll receive radar vectors to make our interception to the ILS probably a little more direct. Often, you're initially established on a procedure, but the controller can always take charge and vector you around. I'm going to turn up some of these rheostats, even though it's daytime. A good habit to get into is turn up some of the lights when you have an opportunity. By default, the aircraft starts out with the lights all turned down. Okay. How about we turn on the progressive wind shear system? I'm going to arm the spoilers or speed brakes. That looks pretty good. I think we're done with our flight management computer. Upstairs looks okay. I wonder how our virtual first officer is doing in her walk-around inspection. Oh my goodness. Here she is. She just came back. Well, since she's here, let's run a checklist.
Before start checklist.
Cockpit prep.
Completed.
Completed. Gear pins and covers.
Removed.
Signs.
On and auto.
Adheres.
Nav.
Fuel quantity.
Set.
Takeoff data.
Set.
Barrel ref.
1013. Set.
1013. Set. Down to line.
One thing we didn't do is spin our trim wheel into the 0.2 down position. Here's the reference arrow right there, and you can see that this is 0.2 down. So we have matched our trim wheel with what the flight computer has for us. How's our cabin crew doing? Looks like they're a little...
Hi, the security and safety check are all done. Are we good to start boarding?
Yes, you can start boarding.
Okay.
Looks like the baggage crew have done their job. We've had a failure. Our better pushback program has just failed us. And the whole sim has crashed. Ha ha ha. Well, folks, I apologize for that. We are still streaming. I'm going to go ahead and try to reestablish the simulator. Yeah, better pushback led to a little catastrophe there. But I must say that both better pushback and flight crew A320 are very, very stable. I've had other reasons for crashing the sim, but not those two. The computer is thinking and chewing, and there is great gnashing of teeth. Rumor has it there's a new update coming out soon, which will give us better quality scenery in a particular part of the world. If I remember correctly, I believe it's the UK. So these splash screens from the United States will probably be changed to splash screens from the UK here in the near future. I wonder, when they say UK, do they just mean the British Islands, or do they mean all of the UK? Because the UK is quite extensive. Islands in the Caribbean and territories spread out throughout the world. What was that old saying? I don't know if it's still true, but the old saying was, the sun never sets on the Union Jack. Whether it be Singapore or Hong Kong or Africa, and different parts of Europe and the Americas, there would always be sunlight somewhere on the Union Jack. One thing while we're here, we were parked at gate 16, which I'm not sure if we can get back to it where it was. I'm just going to. But we were parked in a very awkward position for our pushback. So I'm going to move us to this position here at gate 28. And I was looking at that earlier and thinking, boy, this pushback is going to be interesting. It's going to be really tight. But if we move, I mean, I didn't, had we not had the crash, I wouldn't have made a big deal of it. And I would have just dealt with the small pushback area as given, because that's exactly what you would have to do in real life. Wherever the previous pilot put your plane, you're going to have to negotiate your way out of it. And I would have just taken that as a matter of course. But since we had the opportunity with the crash, will give us a more conducive place to have I won't say a more realistic pushback, but certainly less challenging pushback. And because we've had to reset the simulator, not only did we lose better pushback, which caused the crash, but we also had to reset our flight crew, A320 flight crew. Which is fine. Since we've already gone through the FMS setup and much of the pre-flight, I'm going to whip through that process. The second time around, I'm going to whip through it pretty fast. Here we are back in Norfolk. Actually, that's kind of how you pronounce it. You don't say Norfolk, as the word looks like Norfolk. You say Norfolk. That's kind of the way the locals pronounce it. Now, you're now looking at my control panel, and you're kind of like Dory looking at the wizard behind the curtain. You're actually seeing the controls that I use to make all the magic happen. most of the time, most all the time, there's the controls. This is the control for Flight Crew A320, and this is the control for Pushback Express. These buttons do the various functions. There's the jet bridge function. I can attach the jet bridge. Here's the aircraft main door, stairs if we needed them. Here's the fuel truck. Here's the baggage. Get the baggage going. There's the power truck. Catering. Other functions. And of course the all-important settings button. Usually I hide this off screen. I put it on another screen so you can't see it. So I try to, maintain the illusion of the operations on the ground without you seeing the work that goes into it. And then here's the control for the flight crew.
Let's start setting up.
Okay.
That starts the timer process on the cabin crew, and then this toggles between the different checklists that we run. Well, looks like we lost our jet bridge there for some reason, so I'll get it back. And again, and it says 30 minutes, but with this plus key, I can actually tick that down a little faster. And then the microphone is for the cabin announcements, and the telephone is to talk to the purser, talk to the flight attendant without making an announcement to the passengers. Very good. Real weather. Looks like a bit of a cloudy day here in Virginia. Let's get back aboard and continue with as much as we can. Again, we're going to do this really fast. Power on. Oh, come on. I think we're pretty much back to where we were before the crash. Our FMC work is complete. Our cabin crew has started the process of getting the aircraft ready for passengers. We have our first officer returned from her walk around. And let's run that checklist one more time.
Before start checklist.
Cockpit prep.
Completed.
Completed. Gear pins and covers.
Removed.
Signs.
On and auto.
Adheres.
Nav.
Fuel quantity.
Set.
Take off data.
Set.
Barrel ref.
1013. Set.
1013. Set. Down to the line.
Let's get our clearance. Norfolk clearance delivery. American Fort Tree, ready to copy. We're not connected to the simulator. Norfolk clearance delivery. American Fort Tree, ready to copy. Norfolk clearance delivery. American Fort Tree, ready to copy. Norfolk clearance delivery. American Fort Tree, ready to copy. Norfolk clearance delivery. American Fort Tree, ready to copy. Well, that's a shame. Let's take care of that. Norfolk clearance delivery. American Fort Tree, ready to copy. Transponder in automatic mode and TA setting, traffic advisory setting. Ground spoilers are armed. Predictive wind shear switch is turned on. Auto brakes to full. Landing gear handle down. Thrust levers fully back. Engine cutoff switches in the cutoff position, and engine mode switch normal.
Hi, the security and safety check are all done. Are we good to start boarding?
Yes, you can start boarding.
Okay.
Wonderful. We'll get the fine folks aboard. I was trying to change the Pilot2ATC program to read millibars instead of, inches of mercury instead of hectopascals. We're in North America. We use inches of mercury. 2992 is the standard setting. 1013 is a European convention. That's what she's working in, the air traffic control is working in right now. For right now, we'll leave it in 1013 just to match up with what air traffic control will give us. Let's start the APU. We got folks coming aboard here. Can't dilly-dally around. APU master switch on. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and start the APU. We'll get the APU bleed on. We'll start the get the fuel pumps all turned on here. Turn the crew oxygen supply on. We'll do a fire test on engine number 1 and a fire test on engine number 2. Great, you recall we already did a fire test on the APU earlier. We'll also turn on the beacon light. This will warn people around the back of the airplane to stay away, hot exhaust. And now we should have no more activity around the airplane. The baggage should be loaded. Minimal crew around the airport. Let me just check with the ground crew. Flight deck to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
Confirm all ground checks are complete and we are cleared to pressurize the hydraulics.
Once the check is completed, all doors and panels are closed, no issues found. You can pressurize your hydraulics at any time now.
Thank you.
Thanks, have a good flight, and we'll see you later.
Flight deck to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We will be ready shortly.
Okay, I wait.
They've got a pretty efficient ground system going here. Well, you know that we've started the APU. We don't have much of a need for that power unit anymore, so let's send him home. My cameras don't seem to be working in the external view. There we go. That's why they were in showcase mode instead of external view mode. There we go. That's much more like what I'd like to see.
Hi guys, here's the load sheet for you.
Thanks.
No problem, have a safe flight.
We have our load sheet. Let's lock the cabin door.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board today. As you locate your assigned seats, please place your smaller items under the seat in front of you to provide more room for larger items in our overhead compartments. If you need assistance, contact the flight attendant. If you are unable to accommodate any item in the cabin, please bring it to the boarding door and we will check it for you. Also, review the safety instruction card in your seat pocket. If you are seated in an exit seat, also review the exit seating criteria.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. From the flight deck, this is the captain speaking. On behalf of the entire flight crew and myself, I'd like to welcome you aboard today's flight. Our flight attendants are there for your comfort, but more importantly for your safety, so please give them a few minutes of your undivided attention while we go over the safety features of this aircraft. Once the boarding process is complete, we'll get the cabin door closed and push off the gate for an on-time departure. In the meantime, please sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. Welcome aboard.
Hey guys, are we clear to close?
Yes.
Thanks. Let me know if you need anything.
The last minute stragglers have made their way on board. Let's disconnect the jet bridge. Make sure that the cabin door is closed, which it is. And let's complete our checklist.
Below the line.
Windows and doors.
Closed.
Closed. Beacon.
On.
Thrust levers.
Idle.
Parking brake.
On.
Before start, checklist complete.
Norfolk ground, American Fort Tree. Request pushback and engine start. Flight deck to ground. We are ready for pushback and engine start.
Understood. Release the parking brake space.
Parking brake released.
Pushing back.
Let's fire them up.
Starting engine 2. Starting engine 1.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board our flight today. This is the lead flight attendant speaking. Please direct your attention to the cabin crew for important safety information. There is an instruction card in your seat pocket that illustrates the safety equipment on this aircraft. Regulations require compliance with this information as well as all crew instructions, light information signs, and posted placards. Fasten your seatbelt by inserting the metal tip into the buckle. Tighten by pulling on the belt. To release your seatbelt, lift the metal flap on the buckle. It is our policy that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times while seated. Doors are clearly marked with exit signs and instructions for door operation. Each door is equipped with an escape slide. Locate the exit nearest you. The nearest exit may be behind you. In an emergency, lights will illuminate the aisle. The cabin is pressurized. If there is a loss of cabin pressure, a panel will open and oxygen masks will appear. Remain seated with your seatbelt fastened and pull a mask towards you to start the flow of oxygen. Oxygen will be flowing to the mask even though the bag may not inflate. Cover your nose and mouth with the mask. Place the elastic band around your head and tighten by pulling on the ends. Secure your own mask before assisting others. Your seat bottom cushion may
The push is complete. Please set brakes.
pull up and remove the cushion. Upon exiting the aircraft,
Parking
place your
brake
arms
is set.
around the cushion and hold on to the strap located on the back. This is a non-smoking
Parking
flight.
brake is set.
Smoking is not permitted in the cabin or laboratories. Cabin lights will now be turned off. Reading light
Parking
buttons
brake
are
on.
located above your seat. Thank you for your attention.
Parking brake on.
Understood. Okay, so the ground equipment is removed and pit is out. Good engine starts from down here, and I see you on the right hand side with the pit.
Thanks, and you can disconnect and go to hand signals.
Thanks, have a good flight, and we'll see you later.
Cabin crew, arm slides and cross-check.
Norfolk ground, American 4 tree, ready for taxi, runway 2 tree. Norfolk ground, American 4 tree, ready for taxi, runway 2 tree. Norfolk ground, American 4 tree, ready for taxi, runway 2 tree. American 4 tree, ready for taxi, runway 2 tree. Norfolk ground, American 4 tree, ready for taxi, runway 2 tree.
After start checklist.
Anti-ice.
Set.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Pitch trim.
26% set.
Rudder trim.
0.
After start checklist complete.
Takeoff configuration test, all green.
Flight control check.
Full down. Full up. Neutral. Full right. Full left. Neutral.
Rudder.
Full right. Full left. Neutral.
Your turn. Full down. Full up. Neutral. Full right. Full left. Neutral. And you don't want to do a rudder check. I never can understand that. Okay. I'm not going to make you.
Clear left side.
Clear right side.
Brake check.
Pressure 0.
Okay. Runway 23. 23 is, the end of it is straight ahead. So we'll want to go this way. We actually don't want to join the runway here. We want to join the runway way back this way. That's what I love about taking off from these regional airports, is that you don't have to get lost in a maze of taxiing. Maybe we'll get a little lucky and climb above all this soup. We're in some major soup today.
Before takeoff checklist.
Flight controls.
Checked.
Checked. Flight instruments.
Checked.
Checked. Check. Briefing.
Confirmed.
Flap setting.
Config 2.
Config 2. V1. VR. V2. Flex temp.
V1, 1, 2, 7, VR, 1, 2, 8, V2, 1, 3, 2.
V1. 1. 2. 7. VR. 1. 2. 8. V2. 1. 3. 2. ATC.
Set.
ECAM memo.
Takeoff. No blue.
Down to line.
Well, again, we've got just a little bit of blue in our configuration. It's that cabin again. Go ahead and get our takeoff lights set now. Turn off the APU. Norfolk Tower, American 4 tree, ready for departure, runway 2 tree.
Below the line.
Cabin crew, be seated for takeoff. Takeoff runway.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. Cabin crew.
Advised.
Engine mode selector.
Normal.
Pax.
On.
Before takeoff checklist complete.
Ready.
Ready.
Takeoff. Man flex SRS runway auto thrust blue.
Check.
Throttles into the flex 56
Thrust set.
position. You can see that in the upper left-hand corner of the left-hand primary flight display. Flex 56. Give a little noise abatement to our friendly Virginia neighbors.
100 knots.
Check.
V1. Rotate.
5 degrees up.
Positive climb.
Gear up.
Gear up.
AP1.
Check.
Flaps 1.
Speed check. Flaps 1.
Flaps 0.
Speed check. Flaps 0.
After takeoff, climb checklist.
Landing gear.
Up.
Flaps.
Retracted.
Pax.
On.
Down to the line.
Well, just as in the last flight, I believe our information bar has not recognized our aircraft and is not giving us any information on our progress. That's a shame. I thought I had repaired that. Sorry about that, folks. We'll get that working here. Get that working here someday. It's all a process, right? It's all a process. Oh, we cleared ourselves up of the soup. At 10,000 feet, we can kill the landing gear lights, we can kill the runway turn-off lights, crank up the exterior integrity lights here.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again from the flight deck, this is the captain speaking. We're going to begin our initial descent here momentarily. At this time, I'm going to turn the seatbelt sign back on, so please return your seats and keep your seatbelts securely fastened until the aircraft has come to stop after the AA seatbelt sign has been turned off. It's been our pleasure having you on board for today's flight, and hope to see you back on a future flight again real soon. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival.
Let's see if we have, I know we have some messages, I just don't know if one of them is our ATIS from Charlotte. Let's go into our McDo menu, then our ATSU menu, and then our company menu. Messages received. We have our ATIS. Yes, ATIS from Charlotte. Winds 040 at 6. 1 statute mile of visibility. .36 center is in use. 040 at 6. Temperature 4. 040 at 6. Temperature 4. Temperature 040 at 6. 18,000 feet. 200 on the decision height. And that's looking pretty good. .10,000 feet, landing gear lights can come back on. Landing lights come back on. Runway turnoff lights on. Takeoff lights on.
Below the line.
Barrel rep.
Standard set.
Standard set after takeoff checklist complete.
You have control.
I have control.
I have control.
You have control.
Approach checklist.
Briefing.
Confirmed.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Barrel rep.
1013 set.
1013 set. Minimum.
Set.
Set. Engine mode selector.
Normal.
Approach checklist complete.
Checked.
The radar altimeter is telling us that we're skimming the mountaintops. Here's the Chelsea intersection, the start of our procedure. I'm not seeing any traffic right now. Ha ha! I am in the soup. Okay, autopilot off.
Flaps 1.
Speed check. Flaps 1.
Flaps 2.
Check the speed.
Flaps 2.
Speed check. Flaps 2.
Gear down.
Gear down.
Flaps 3.
Check the speed.
Flaps 3.
Check the speed.
Flaps 3.
Check the speed.
Flaps 3.
Speed check. Flaps 3.
This airport looks beautiful. I'm going to take a screenshot. If I remember how. Oh, I just took a record. That's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to take a recording.
Sync rate. Sync rate.
Checked.
Sync rate. Sync rate. Sync rate. Sync rate. Sync rate. Sync rate. Sync rate.
Flaps full.
Speed check.
Flaps full.
Cabin crew seated for landing.
Landing checklist.
Cabin crew.
Advised.
Auto thrust.
Speed.
Auto brake.
Low.
ECAM memo.
Landing. No glue.
Landing checklist complete.
Continue.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Sink rate.
Retard.
Spoilers. No reverse engine 1 and 2. Decel.
Let's clean us up. Lights off. APU on.
70 knots.
Look at the beautiful Northwest Airlines jet over there. Charlotte approach. American Fort Tree request taxi to the gates. Charlotte ground. American Fort Tree requests taxi to the gates. Charlotte ground. American Fort Tree request taxi to the gate. Okay, now that we have taxi clearance from the Microsoft Flight Control, I think we can go into AI control and let the AI handle our airplane. Looks like our AI pilot has finally settled upon a game. Not the straightest drive in. I can't say how to do any better. Is that the best you're going to do, buddy? I can't believe that's the best you're going to do. You still moving? Well, maybe I don't have the patience to wait for you to finish, so I'm going to take control. And I'll just get you in the rest of the way. Well, here comes the jet bridge. I haven't even stopped the airplane yet. Okay, just stop the airplane.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the conclusion of our flight. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign and the aircraft is parked safely at the gate. This will be your indication it is safe to move about the cabin, gather your belongings, and disembark. We'd like to thank you for flying with us today. We appreciate your business and hope to see you again on a future flight.
After landing checklist.
Flaps.
Retracted.
Spoilers.
Disarmed.
APU.
Start.
Radar.
Off.
Predictive wind shear system.
Off.
After landing checklist complete.
Taxi light off. Parking checklist.
APU bleed.
On.
Engines.
Off.
Seatbelts.
Off.
Exterior lights.
Set.
Fuel pumps.
Off.
Parking brake and chocks.
On and in.
Parking checklist complete.
Secure the aircraft, please.
Okay.
Securing the aircraft checklist.
Adheres.
Off.
Oxygen.
Off.
APU bleed.
Off.
Emergency exit light.
Off.
Signs.
Off.
APU and battery.
Off.
Securing the aircraft checklist complete.
Thanks for joining me today, folks. Hope to see you on another stream.